There's something happening inside you right now that almost no one around you can see. It doesn't show up on medical exams. It doesn't become a topic at the dinner table. It rarely finds a clear name in the language we use. But it's there low, constant, vibrating like a frequency only you can tune into. And if you found this video right now, if these words cross your screen today of all days, that already reveals something important about the moment you're in. Messages like this don't reach just anyone. They find people in transition, people standing at that critical threshold between staying asleep inside an illusion or finally waking up to something greater. You've probably spent years trying to fit your life into the mold that was handed to you. Get the right job. Build acceptable relationships. Follow the unspoken manual of how life is supposed to be lived. And maybe you're even good at it. Maybe you've achieved many of the things society labels as success. But there's one uncomfortable detail you can no longer ignore. None of it fills the growing emptiness inside you. There's always that strange feeling that you're playing a role that isn't truly yours, living a life you didn't consciously choose, only inherited. You may have developed sophisticated ways to hide this. You learn when to smile. You learn to say I'm fine when asked. You learn how to keep appearances intact while something inside you screams that nothing is the way it's supposed to be. But there's a limit to how long we can carry this contradiction before it starts leaking out. And it leaks in subtle ways: chronic insomnia, irritation over small things, the sense that you're merely showing up for your own life instead of actually living it. And let me tell you a truth almost no one has the courage to say out loud. This restlessness consuming you is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's the opposite. It's a sign that something is too right to fit inside the small boxes you were offered. This is not disguised depression. It's not a lack of gratitude. It's not emotional immaturity. It's a calling, an ancient calling that comes without instructions, offers no guarantees, and promises no safety. At first, it shows up as pure discomfort, as that tightness in your chest when you realize you're drifting farther and farther away from who you really are. And the more you try to silence this inner voice with distractions overworking, empty relationships, constant stimulation, or any modern anesthetic, the louder it seems to become. Because essential truths don't disappear just because we pretend they don't exist. They simply sink deeper and begin to sabotage your life in ways you don't always connect back to the root cause. Throughout all of human history, there have always been people like you. On the outside, they looked ordinary, normal, even insignificant to those who only see the surface. But inside, they carried an expanded perception of reality, a heightened sensitivity to dimensions most people don't even realize exist. And do you know what happened to almost all of them? They spent years trying to convince themselves they were exaggerating, years trying to conform, years suffocating their true nature, so they wouldn't disturb anyone, disappoint anyone, or take risks. Maybe your personal story has been marked by intense experiences from an early age, losses that changed you, rejections that left scars, periods of loneliness that forced you inward, and you spent so much time wondering why everything feels heavier for you, why you feel so deeply, while others seem to glide through life untouched by its existential weight. What no one ever explained is that none of this happened to break you. It was preparation. Every wound opened a door to understanding. Every dark night taught you how to see in the dark. Every fall forced you to build inner strength that people with comfortable lives never have to develop. But there's a real danger here. When someone with this level of sensitivity tries to run from their destiny, life allows it for a while. You can distract yourself with superficial goals. You can numb the pain with temporary pleasures. You can build routines that keep your mind busy enough not to hear that persistent voice. But there is an invisible cost being charged every single day. First comes chronic exhaustion, the kind sleep doesn't fix. Then comes emptiness, the feeling of moving through your days without actually being present. And then comes something even more dangerous: resignation. You stop dreaming. You stop feeling. You stop believing life could be different. Your eyes lose that unmistakable spark of someone who is truly alive. You start getting irritated over trivial things because the frustration of not living your truth has to escape somehow. And the most tragic part is that this can become your normal. You can spend decades living a fraction of what you're capable of, and because it happens gradually, you barely notice how far you've drifted from yourself. The calling isn't infinite. It begins as a persistent whisper in quiet late nights. Then it becomes a constant discomfort you carry everywhere. If it continues to be ignored, it turns into emotional pie-now sense of a life wasted. And if even then you choose not to respond, it begins to fade. Not because destiny abandoned you, but because every opportunity has an invisible expiration date. While you remain frozen waiting for the perfect moment, waiting to feel braver, waiting to feel fully ready, life doesn't stop. Other people move forward. Doors close. And you stay there, watching from a distance, feeling that toxic mix of envy and recognition when you see someone living the life you know you could have lived too. Maybe right now you're wondering if all of this is just ego, some neurotic need to feel special, some romanticized dissatisfaction. But there's a simple test that clears that doubt. If it were just ego, it wouldn't hurt this much for this long. If it were adolescent fantasy, you would have outgrown it. If it were illusion, it wouldn't follow you for years with this uncomfortable persistence. Ego seeks external validation and immediate comfort. A true calling demands sacrifice, transformation, and the courage to face the unknown. It doesn't promise an easy or comfortable life. It promises an authentic one. And here is a truth that hurts. You were not born to live comfortably numbed inside a safe, predictable bubble. You were born to be a bridge between worlds, a channel for something greater, a carrier of awareness where there is only automation. And that is terrifying. Terrifying because it means letting old versions of yourself die, versions some people love. Terrifying because it means disappointing expectations placed on you. Terrifying because it means leaving familiar environments that have become too small for who you're becoming. That's why so many people freeze right at the exit door. They feel everything I'm describing, but they don't cross. They understand change is necessary, yet postpone it indefinitely, and the days accumulate, not in dramatic events, but in small daily deaths, small betrayals of your own soul, small silences when you should have spoken, small acts of conformity when you should have resisted, until one day you wake up and realize with horror that you're living a life you never truly chose. You're just following a script written for you, playing a character that has nothing to do with your essence. And the emptiness grows not because you failed to achieve anything, but because you achieved everything that doesn't matter to your soul. And that created a very specific, quiet pain, one that finds no understanding, because from the outside your life looks perfectly fine. But there is still time, and you need to carve this into yourself as long as you still feel this discomfort, as long as these words still stir something inside you, as long as the restlessness is alive. The calling remains active. It doesn't demand perfection or complete answers. It demands one fundamental thing: movement. Clarity is not a prerequisite for action. Clarity is a result of action. Each step reveals the next. Each door you open shows another you didn't even know existed. Staying frozen while waiting to understand everything in advance is actually a sophisticated way of quitting without admitting you've quit. You don't need to revolutionize your entire life tomorrow morning. You just need to identify the next true step. That difficult conversation you've avoided for months. That decision your heart already made while your mind keeps sabotaging it. That move you know you need to make, but keep postponing until conditions are perfect. Spoiler, they never will be. The universe doesn't respond to detailed plans or beautifully worded intentions. It responds to real movement. When you finally move, even with shaking fear, something in the unseen field reorganizes. Synchronicities begin to happen. The right people appear. Resources come from unexpected places. Doors open in walls that once seemed solid. And yes, it will hurt before it gets better. You'll confront parts of yourself you've hidden for decades. You'll face primal fears that have paralyzed you since childhood. You'll question identities you carefully built just to survive environments that were never meant for you. You want to run back to the familiar comfort zone, even knowing it's slowly killing you. That's part of the process. True transformation never happens in comfort. But on the other side exists something no comfort zone can offer: full alignment. Coherence between what you feel, what you think, and how you live. The deep sense of finally being who you came here to be. Some people in your current circle will drift away when you begin this transformation. Others will actively try to convince you that you're having a breakdown, that you're being irresponsible, that you're throwing everything away. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're growing. Every real transformation unsettles those who choose stagnation. When you change, you become a walking mirror, and not everyone can tolerate what they see reflected. But new people will arrive. People who recognize something familiar in you. People who speak the language of the soul without needing translation. And you realize you were never truly alone, you were just misaligned. Now, let me ask you a question that destroys all excuses. If absolutely nothing changed, if you keep making the same choices, living on the same autopilot, ignoring the same signs, where will you be 5 years from now? How will you feel looking back, knowing your full awareness, a clear opportunity, and still chose to do nothing? Because at the end of life, it's not the mistakes we made that haunt us most. It's the chances we didn't take. Not failed attempts, but the moves we never made because we were afraid to fail. There are people scattered across this world who need exactly what only you can offer: your unique perspective, your specific way of translating complex truths, your particular way of touching lives. There's impact waiting to exist, and it remains unrealized as long as you stay hidden behind fear and excuses. Every day you delay answering the call, that impact simply doesn't happen. This isn't guilt, it's responsibility. And responsibility isn't a burden, it's recognition of your capacity. So now the game changes completely. This is no longer about understanding everything intellectually. It's about choosing, staying in familiar safety or taking the leap, protecting fear or honoring the call, pretending you heard nothing or responding with your entire life. And responding doesn't mean having a 10-year plan. It means saying yes to the next obvious step, even with a racing heart, even with no guarantees of how it will end. If you felt these words touch something deeply real inside you, don't let that fade in silence. Write just 3 words in the comments: I hear the call. Don't do it for Mado or for yourself. Because when you declare it publicly, you create a real commitment. You anchor the decision in the real world. And if you're truly ready to stop living on autopilot, subscribe to this channel now, because this is a space for those who are waking up, for those who refuse to live on the surface, for those who choose to face their truth without anesthesia. Leave a like so this message reaches others standing at the same threshold, feeling there is more, but still afraid to admit it. And more important than any button you click here, do one real thing today. One concrete action. It can be small if it needs to be, but it must be true. Because a calling isn't fulfilled with good intentions kept in a drawer. It's fulfilled through real movement in the real world. And when you finally take that first step, even trembling, even uncertain, life responds. The universe conspires. Doors open. The world doesn't need more numb people pretending everything is fine. It needs people who are awake, alive, authentic. And if you made it this far, if you are here at this last sentence, you already know deep down this was an accident. It's time.